Oh, hello, gentlemen. Didn't mean to wake you up. Sorry to interrupt your nap. A few minutes late, my bad. Watching film.
All right. Well, we got some questions for you we'll start off with Brent Zwerneman from the Houston.
Get two total. Let's go.
Coach, that hit a little bit too close to home there, talking about that nap stuff. But I wanted to ask you about Isaiah Spiller. Was he a little bit maybe underappreciated from the outside last year with what he did as a true freshman, and then your expectations for him with the year in the program?
Well, I think that was a big responsibility went on him, and how quick it went on him to be a starter after a Game 2 injury. You know, he had done great well in camp, and hopefully, you could have supplemented him in a backup role for a few more games before you had to do that. That's a big role for him to come in and have 900 some yards and catch the ball. And, and Isaiah is a great young man, getting better and better. And yeah, he's going to be counted upon extremely important for our offense coming this year, and needs to have a great year.
Thank you.
Next question is from Gabe Bach at TexAgs.com.
Hey, Jimbo, what's one element to your offense or your defense, or if you wanted to say both, maybe one element offensively and defensively, that you're convinced will be noticeably improved this year, Jimbo?
It's I think our overall ability to be diverse, the diversity I think we can create offensively, hopefully. Still being able, we got to be physical and run the ball, but hopefully we can, I think, create plays down the field, create more big plays, the things we got to do. To do that, because big plays are, besides turnovers, is probably the second most important thing in winning games, hopefully. I think defensively, I think I've been very pleased. Some of our young guys, and I think our overall secondary play is really getting depth there, and I think our front guys are doing a good job of mixing and matching, more healthy up front. We got a pretty good group in there. So in those areas, I think we ought to see some improvement. And hopefully be able to create turnovers and take care of it on offense.
All right, your next question is from Chip Howard at Sports Talk.
Somewhere. Oh, there I am. Coach, I know you keep up with a few coaches even during the season. Have you been more inclined to talk to some of your fellow coaches during this time that everything is so crazy for everybody, to maybe get some different ideas or see what they're doing?
Probably did early. Right now, during camp, not as much, because, it's still the time consumption for us, whether it's film or whatever, not as much, but still reaching out, and also we have common bonds and people between a lot of us that we can bounce ideas off of. I don't have to directly get a hold of them, because sometimes their times right now conflict with mine, whatever their schedules may be in that regard. But there was a lot of interaction and a lot of still ideas that we're reaching out to, and I know what some guys are doing and hearing it from other people, people in between that. So we're constantly looking for that, because like I say, none of us have all the answers now. So I'm constantly listening, whether I like them or not. I'm constantly listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question from Brian Peroni at Gig'em 247.
Hey, Coach. I figured this one would already be asked, so I'll actually have a follow-up. But can you give us a status on the tight ends? I know there's been some talk about Baylor Cupp and Blake Smith both being out for the year.
They are. Blake Smith is out and Baylor out, and both are doing really well. Baylor had a shoulder and Blake had a knee. Both have one in the surgeries and are doing. One of them's actually having it today, so hopefully we'll be out fine. The other one went really well, and get ready to go in the future. But we still have quite a few numbers in that position, so we'll keep working there.
All right, and my follow-up is Jamon Osmond. It seems we haven't really seen him much or at all on the recent videos. Is something going on with him? Is he still in camp and healthy? And have you had any other players opt out since the two defensive backs last week?
No, we haven't guys opt out. We've had guys miss practice for different reasons and different things, but Oz is still with our team. And, sometimes these guys we take a little time to reflect on different things, but Oz is still on our team and on our roster. Yes, sir. And we're, a lot of our younger guys are getting a lot of work.
All right, your next question is from Travis Brown from Bryan College Station Eagle.
Hey, Coach. With how things have gone quarterbacks-wise around the country in the last several years, how special is it to you as a coach to have a quarterback returning who is a four-year starter? And also, how special is it as you team that the fact that if things go well for Kellen this year, he could leave here as the record holder for passing yards, for passing touchdowns, and be one of the most decorated record book quarterbacks in school history?
I didn't realize that, but he's doing outstanding. He's had an outstanding camp right now, and having a 4-year starter who knows how you think, what you want. And like you say, right now, he's finishing a lot of my sentences and the things we want. And I mean, he's really, in my opinion, taken some great steps. And hopefully, I think it'll show on the field. But I mean, his leadership, but just his execution, his comfort level with what we're doing and how we're doing it. And the guys around him, I think, are executing, which is really helping too. So in that regard, it's good. And then our 2 young guys, and I've been very pleased with them too. But having Kellen there has been huge, and I think he's doing a tremendous job right now.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question's from John Wilson with KBC.
Hi, Coach. I was curious what role you expect Ryan Rennick to play this year with what's happened at tight end. What role could he play, and what does he bring to this team?
Ryan will play a role like he did last year. Ryan was huge in our game. Whether you didn't have lots of catches, but he had some, and he can catch the football, and he's very athletic. But his ability to play multiple positions, I mean, I always tell him he's kind of like a Swiss Army. There's nothing he can't do. He can block. He's smart. He can run routes. He gets open. He sets guys up with what he does, helps guys around assignment. Very, very intelligent football player, tough football player, very competitive football player, has football intelligence. I mean, does a lot of really good things on our football team that, sometimes you don't notice them in the stats, but as a football coach, he's an invaluable piece to what we do and how we do it.
Next question is from Justin Woodard at KAGS.
Coach, building off the more versatile on offense, wondered how your relationship or your communication with Coach Dickey has evolved since y'all have now been together for 3 years, and just the ideas you bounce off each other, and maybe he comes up with something and you're like, hey, that's pretty good. I like that. Or how does game day
Very much
work?
so. You understand, Daryl's been a very successful football coach as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator at multiple places, at multiple levels of football. And there's an art to that. People don't put it precedent. When you win at different levels of football and win championships, you're a head coach, you're a coordinator. It takes different things because you're not always having the same types of players. Very creative mind, very understands football very well, can create mismatches. We share some great conversations along with her. I think our offensive staff, this is one of the best staffs I've ever had. Not the other staffs have been good. It's a very top-notch staff in understanding the big picture of what's going on, not just at your position, but how it intertwines with the offense and how you got to play and do things. Our staff, we have a very good staff of idea people and understand the big picture, in my opinion. It's still coach toughness. But Daryl's done an outstanding job right now. I mean, I think, I feel very comfortable with where we're going offensively right now, and he's been a huge part of that.
Let's go to Mike Lucas at KAGS.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. There's still going to be fans in the stands, Coach, but it won't be 100,000 screaming at all the SEC schools. I'm just curious, how much of an impact do you think the diminished or lessened crowd noise will have on offenses and defenses, especially on third down?
Well, I think offensive, one of the things is probably won't have a silent count. I mean, you don't have to go silent count. You'll be able to call cadence on the road, do a lot of things, which some people still always do, but that shouldn't be an issue. That'll be a very interesting thing because you heard the pro players in the NBA say that, even baseball, that, trying to feed off the energy of a crowd, the home crowd, the visiting crowd, whatever that may be. I think it's going to be an ongoing learning experience for all of us. Players, coaches, everything, feeding off that energy and things that go up. I don't think we can answer that question until we get in that arena. I mean, it's very much like spring games and things like that, but some of them are even more packed than we're going to be allowed to. We've had more players at more people at spring games than we'll even be having here. So I think it's ongoing. I think there'll be some interesting. I think you'll hear a lot more stuff from the sidelines that you never heard before. I mean, I think like you hear in the NBA, you hear coaches talk and play. And I'm not saying bad or good. I mean, what's actually going on, some of the things are being said, the intensity of things being said, and the communications that go on. I think there's some things in this game that will open up to people that they've never heard before. It'd be interesting.
The next question's from Mark Passwaters at Rivals.com.
Hey, Coach. You touched just for a second that you were pleased with the secondary, but I was wondering if you could touch on the nickel position in particular and the competition there.
Well, I mean, you got Clifford Chapman, you got Eric Young, you got Devin Morris, and we even played we played Brian George in there and some of our other guys. We have multiple guys in there and what they're doing and really playing well. Young is doing a really good job. Chap's been in there before. Devin, who he got a little tweak, had to miss a little bit of time, but he's back now, and he was competing in there very well. Missed Brian from corner to maybe moving him in there. Been very important. As you know now, nickel is just as important as any other position on the board right now and how the game is being played today. And we got multiple guys in there, so if we plan for injuries, but also feel like very comfortable with the guys that are in there that all provide different things and different avenues, and you'll see them all playing.
Next question is from Owen Buchanan at TexAgs.com.
Yeah, Jimbo, about 2 weeks before the season starts, do you know right now your starting lineup?
Probably pretty. I mean, you got an idea, but there's still scrimmages out there. There's still a lot of ball to be played. So to answer your question, no. I mean, you feel guys that can play. How many guys and there'll be a couple others that emerge in these next 2 weeks, I think, especially from those young guys that they're just now starting. It's really clicking and getting in there. But there's still a bunch of competitive battles across the board that we'll wait and see how they play out. They got another scrimmage this Saturday, and then we'll see in the last couple of weeks of practice.
And also, there's been some discussion about Smart Chibuzo getting some reps at center. Is that just you working, some young guys in, or is that an indication that the
No, I like him, and I think he can play in there. And plus, I've said this: you can't have enough centers. We talk about quarterbacks and all these other positions, and all the other center is a very unique, hard thing to do, and you got to develop guys there. So I'm trying to make a plan to have guys that I think he can have he's a big guy. He's physical and big as inside D tackles are now, holding the point and getting things up there. I think he has a chance to be a very good center in the future. I really do.
All right. Next question is from Gabe Bach at TexasAgs.com.
Speaking of O-line, Jimbo, we're going to get a chance to talk to Kenyan Green for the first time since he got on campus. What's it like to coach him, and how improved is he from last year to this year?
Oh, he's the worst guy on the team. He's the hardest guy in the world to coach. He drives you crazy. Now, he's sitting back here. He's listening to me now. So you set up a loaded question. No, but as I joke, listen, Kenyan is tremendous. He's very intelligent, loves ball, loves everything about ball, works at it, smart. Actually, I say this up top. You got to be tough guys up front, smart guys up front, and it helps when you're both, and he is. He's a very self-motivated guy, has a lot of talent, can play multiple positions across the board. I think his techniques are really getting down, and he's being able to use his power and size right now. I think has a tremendous future in the game. As he continues to mature, get bigger, stronger, and the things that goes on in the future, I think he's going to go down as possibly could be one of the best we've had here. I really do. I think he has a tremendous future ahead of him, and love everything about it. He allows you to coach him. He likes to be coached. He likes to be pushed. He likes to be challenged, and he fights back with it too. I mean, you see that edge in him, and I think he's going to be one heck of a football player, and he needs to have a heck of a year for us if we're going to do what we need to do.
All right, let's go to Travis Brown at the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Yeah, Coach, I think this is the first time we've gotten to talk to you since the last scrimmage. Just curious, kind of your thoughts on what stood out to you in that scrimmage. And then, sorry if it's already been asked, but the just any updates on how y'all are doing COVID-wise.
Doing excellent COVID-wise. I mean, I'm very, 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 very proud of our players and what's going on COVID-wise and how we're handling things. I mean, guys it's extremely minimal, and we're doing a great job. We're not have many guys at all missing from these situations. Scrimmage-wise, one of the things that jumped out to me the most offensively was the lack of organization and preparation things, because it's the first time you've actually been live since last December when you're in a bowl game. I mean, so, very few pre-snap penalties, had a few, but very few. And some of the younger guys took care of the football very well. Carelessness with the ball, getting hit, getting tackled. In that regard, not a lot of that. Execution of getting plays communicated from the sideline into the game, the communication levels, not having delay of games, not having all the things that, you talk about the ball part, but those things procedurally, they're self-inflicted wounds that you could control. And our guys were very locked in and have handled that very well. Our coaches and players did an excellent job of done in camp of doing those things. It's something we put an emphasis on because we haven't done it in a while. You know what I mean? And getting out there in the game, those stood out. Competition was really good. Loved it. Defensively, I thought we tackled well in space, which is always good. Offensively, we made big plays in the game, but defensively did some really good things. Got some pressure on the passer at times in key moments. Contested balls. Some of the young players are really emerging and going to provide a lot of depth. The older guys, just how they played and competed, and leadership of the group was very good. And for our first scrimmage, I mean, there's a ton of work to do. But from an organizational standpoint, a procedural standpoint, I thought was really good. And you saw, those young players along with the old players, you wouldn't throw any of those young guys back. We got the right guys. Just got to keep developing them.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll finish up with two more questions from Robert Cessna and then Brent Zwerman.
Jimbo, you mentioned big plays and turnovers earlier as deciding games. Why weren't your team able to get a lot of turnovers the last 2 years, and why do you feel it'll be different this year?
Well, I think it's experience, knowledge, athleticism, pass rush. I mean, you got to get pass rush on things, strips, and you're playing good football teams. And sometimes turnovers, sometimes you can try too hard. You got to be fundamentally sound, tackle, strip, great angles, create long yardage situations, be good. Like a couple years ago, really good numbers on defense, didn't create the turnover. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And but we need to do that and put an emphasis on it. And we're trying to, but at the same time, you got to stay fundamentally sound in what you do. And I just think our overall athleticism and knowledge of what we're trying to do and how we're doing it in the multiple schemes we'll be able to do, and providing more depth for pass rush guys, coverage guys, that you can give guys a break in the secondary and keep a higher rotation, keep fresh players. I think all those things don't matter.
All right, Brent, finish it.
Jimbo, I don't think I've ever heard teammates praise a younger player more than the offensive lineman did about Kenyan Green. My question to you about him is he a guy who can play inside and out for you?
No doubt.
No doubt. That's his future role, or is he going to be on the outside some this year?
Well, we don't know. He's inside. I think he can play all three if you want to get technical. But I think he could be a tackle. I think he could be a guard, and I think he could be a center. I really do. I think he has the ability to do all three of those things physically. So, that's a lot of burden on him. But yeah, we're going to work him some at tackle. We'll always, because we're building plans at tackle and guard. You have to have alternate plans to get the best five guys on the field sometimes, and what you're doing. So those things will all be required of him.
He
better get his rest, and he better study his playbook.
Sounds like that's not an issue. Yeah. Last one for you, Michael Clemens. Your expectations for him? He's been a little bit of a mystery man for us over the years, but
he ain't been mystery me right now. I tell you what, in camp he ain't hard to find. That guy right now is playing really well. His leadership, his overall command of things, his physicality. The relentlessness on each and every play. I've been extremely, extremely pleased with his play in camp right now. Not only his play, his leadership, his demeanor, his effect on the team, and setting a tone and a trendsetter for how you got to play the game. He's done a tremendous job for us right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.